of options and can't find solutions when life's problems getting you down. You must always remember that prayer is the answer and Jaja is always.
My friends, if you are going to hang out with me for the next couple of minutes, I would like for you to share this video. Share it on a page, share it on a friend page, share it in a room, share it in a group. And when you share it, tag someone in the video.
Charge any fee. All you got to do is to get on your knees.
Our scripture reading is coming today from Mark chapter 15. We're going to read from verse 1 to 13. That is Mark chapter 15, verse 1 to 13. Verse 1. Immediately in the morning, the chief priests held a consultation with the elders and the scribes and the whole council. And they bound Jesus, led him away, and delivered him to Pilate. Then Pilate asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" And he answered and said to him, "It is as you say." And the chief priests accused him of many things, but he answered nothing. Then Pilate asked him again, saying, "Do you answer nothing? See how many things they have testified against you?" But Jesus still answered nothing, so that Pilate marveled. Verse 6. Now as the feast was accustomed to release, at the feast he was accustomed to release one prisoner to them, whoever they requested. And there was one named Barabbas, who was chained with his fellow rebels. They committed murder in the rebellion. Then the multitude cried out aloud, began to ask him to do as he have always done for them. But Pilate answered to them, saying, "Do you want me to release the king of the Jews?" For he knew that the chief priests had handed him over to him because of envy. But the chief priests stirred up the crowd, so that he shouted, "Rather, release Barabbas to them." Pilate asked them and said to them again, "What then do you want me to do with him who is called the King of the Jews?" So they cried again, "Crucify him." People, this is the scripture reading. There are many preachers who went to seminary and have had their doctorate in divinity who do not understand this story of Jesus and Barabbas. You have to remember that when these people go to their seminary to learn how to teach us how to make it into heaven, they are taught by people who hates you and who hates me. People who don't want you or I to make it into the kingdom. So they teach them lies to perpetrate upon our community so that we can all be cast into hell. In order to better explain what is happening in this story, let me use some examples that we are familiar with. On the 9th of December 1979 in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, a young man from Union Island by the name of Bumba Charles. Bumba Charles led a failed revolution, and his objective in this revolution was to the citizens of Union will manage their own affairs, their own destiny. The people from the mainland and most of the Grenadines Islands did not know who Bumba Charles was. The government of the day, the Milton Cato administration, tell the people that Bumba Charles was a communist who wanted to overthrow the government and to take away their lands and their jobs. Bumba Charles was arrested. Mr. Charles was charged. Mr. Charles was prosecuted. Mr. Charles was convicted and sentenced to imprisonment. He and a few others. One name was Drake's, I can't remember the other one's name. Sometime later, a family moved into my neighborhood, the Prescotts. One was Gail Prescott, most people know her as a national athlete. The other was Ansel Prescott and Owen Prescott. When these three youths from Union Island moved into our neighborhood and became my neighbor, I hear them speaking about Bumba Charles as if Bumba Charles was a hero. And at times they speak about things that had nothing to do with the revolution. And they speak about Bumba Charles like he was a man who have given them many life proverbs to live by. I was shocked because here we have the government had portrayed Bumba Charles as a power-hungry communist whose only aim was to take away the lands and the jobs of the people. And here we have three youths who knew Bumba Charles personally, who interacted with Bumba Charles personally, who had another view of Bumba Charles, who treated Bumba Charles with the utmost respect. Now I was confused. So I went to my prison encyclopedia. That is a young man from Devil Street, Bottom Down area by the name of Crab. I said, Crab, do you know Bumba Charles in prison? Crab said, yes, I don't know much about him because Bumba Charles and his boys always stay together. They don't have lengthy conversation with other prisoners. They have lengthy conversation with themselves. Remember, Bumba Charles was a man probably in his mid-20s. The people that were convicted with him were youths between 18 and 20 or younger than that. Crab could not have given me any information about Bumba Charles that I needed to qualify who is the real Bumba Charles. When Bumba Charles was released from prison after he had done his time, he went back to Union Island and he got involved in the community affairs as he did before he was arrested and imprisoned. He was responsible for all sports on Union Island. He taught the youths how to play basketball, netball, volleyball and so forth. And he toured with them. So now I was playing on Clippers and coming up against the Union Island basketball team where Bumba Charles was the coach. Jakes, one of the youth who were imprisoned with him, and another youth were the two leading players on his team. They can shoot like anyone in the NBA. I was skeptical to speak to Bumba Charles because I did not know how he would have received me. As Crab said, Bumba stuck to himself and his little group. He interacted with the officials and people who he knew periodically. But I look at his behavior, I look at his demeanor, and I see the way he conducted himself. But this is the takeaway I wanted to get from this story. After Bumba Charles came out of prison, the adults, the parents of Union Island, trusted their children with him not to coach them sports on the island, but they trusted Bumba Charles with their children to bring them up from Union Island to St. Vincent, far away from home, unsupervised by any other adult, to camp out, to play netball and basketball and volleyball in the national tournament. He was allowed to take those youths from Union Island to Grenada and to Trinidad to participate in tournaments in those countries. It tells you the character of this man. It tells you that the government tell a story about who Bumba Charles was that was not the reality. My assessment, if those youths were convicted and Bumba Charles was not convicted and he was let free, Bumba Charles would have go out there, he would have committed a crime, a serious crime, so he can go back to prison to take care of those boys who followed him in the revolution, who were now doing time. He would not have abandoned those young men. This is what I gather from everything that I've learned from him over the years. Let me tell you another story, another true story that we all can associate with. On the 13th of March 1979, Maurice Bishop had a bloodless coup in Grenada. He overthrew the wicked and oppressive Eric Gary's government. The news we got in St. Vincent and the Grenadines is that Maurice Bishop was a communist. He is associated with Cuba and Russia. He have overthrown the legitimate government. He is going to take away the people's home. He is going to take away their jobs and do all of the things that a communist nation does. But what we see today, Maurice Bishop is one of the most respected politicians. Although he have never partake in a general election, he is one of the most respected politicians in the history of the Caribbean. All I'm saying is that the victor writes the story of the victim. We have just read about a man that every Christian in Christendom over the centuries looked down upon. His name is Barabbas. It will be interesting to know Barabbas' first name is Joshua, which means the Redeemer. So here we have the Redeemer Barabbas was accused of participating in a revolution in his country, and he was accused of murdering some of the captors. Let me put this into perspective for you. Israel was given to the Israelites, our foreparents, by the Most High. The Most High had declared that he hated the Edomites, and we know the Caucasians are the Edomites. But here we have a situation where the Most High people in the Most High land is being controlled and governed and oppressed and taxed by the same people who the Most High God says he hates. This is the situation. The Redeemer Barabbas was a righteous man. He was a man who served the Most High in spirit and in truth. He is a man who read the scriptures of the Most High. He is a man who knows what the Most High expected from his people. He was living up to the expectation of the Most High. So when Barabbas lead the revolution to kick the Romans out of Israel, he was acting as the Most High wanted him to act. And this is the whole truth. Because he knows that the Most High hated the Edomites. He hated the Romans. So how the people who the Most High hates is going to come on the land that the Most High had dedicated for himself and his people and oppress, exploit, sexploit, and rape the people of the Most High? Barabbas' uprising was a righteous uprising. Barabbas thought that the Most High would have honored his fight against the Romans. And you know something? Do you know that the Most High honored Barabbas' faithfulness? Yes, the Most High honored Barabbas' faithfulness. And you may ask, how did he honor Barabbas' faithfulness? You have to remember, sometimes when the Most High honor our faithfulness, he doesn't give us what we want, but he gives us what we need. And that is just the reality. When the Edomites were going to give Barabbas the death of a seditionists, the Most High ensured that Barabbas did not die for his action. Not Pilate, not the people. That was the doing of the Most High. Remember, there were many others who were arrested and imprisoned for that revolution that Barabbas was a part of. They could have chosen any one of them, but they chose Barabbas because Barabbas was a righteous man. The Most High had to honor Barabbas' righteousness by ensuring that he didn't die in his action to free his people. I'm going somewhere, people. The Bible, the scripture says that they asked the people, who do you want? Should we release the king of the Jews, or should we give you Barabbas? Hold it right there. Now we understand who Barabbas was. Let me tell you who Jesus was. Let me put it into perspective as the way Jesus was perceived by the people who call and say, give us Barabbas. We all know that Jesus is the Son of the Most High. He came to earth with a specific message, with a specific mission. Here we have a man in Jesus Christ who was able to feed 4,000 men plus women and children from 3 barley loaves and 5 fishes. Here we have a man who spoke to the raging wind and waves and tell them to be still, and the wind and the wave stood still. Here we have a man who healed the sick and cleansed the leper. Here we have a man in Jesus Christ who, when he needed money, told his disciple Simon to go down to the bay, throw out your line. When you catch a fish, look into the fish mouth, and you will find the money to take care of all of our expense. Here we have a man who devils, demons, and unclean spirits at his presence tremble and scream for mercy. In other words, here we have a man who is capable of redeeming the people of Israel out of the hands of the Romans, but he refused. Why? because that was not his mission. The people then did not understand what Jesus' mission was. They did not understand what his mission was. They did not understand who he was. Their main priority was freedom from the Romans. They wanted the Romans out of their land. They could not see anything else because we are the Israelites. We are the chosen of the Most High. How dare these infidels come into our land and take over our land? That's all they could see. Remember when Peter take up the sword and swipe off the soldier ears? The Son of the Most High, Yahweh, aka Jesus Christ, says, Peter, if I want a battalion of angels to come to my assistance, they will come from all understanding of who Yahweh, aka Jesus Christ is that he has the power to do as the Most High did with Gideon, to send 300 men with a torch and a trumpet into war against over 400,000 Midianites and strike down every Midianite's dead, while the Israelites blow their trumpets and run at the Midianites with their torches. They know Yahweh, aka Jesus Christ, had the power and the authority to do that. But yet, he refused to use his power to free them. They wanted freedom. But Yahweh, aka Jesus Christ, knew that, like what happened when they came out of Egypt, the Most High gave them freedom from Egyptian bondage. 800 years later, they were back in captivity. Yahweh, aka Jesus Christ, knew that if he used his power to free them now, very soon they are going to go back into captivity. That is why he refused to use his power. So now listen to me. You are in the crowd of people. We know who Barabbas is. Barabbas is a man who did everything he wanted for his people. And the last thing he did is that he gave his life to fight the Romans for the freedom of the Israelites. Jesus Christ, on the other hand, had the power to free the Israelites. But it was not his objective to free them unless they are faithful to the Father. Now let us say Pilate asks you who you want. I would have said I wanted Barabbas, because the evidence is clear that Barabbas is willing to do everything in his power to free us. That is because we are short-sighted. That is because our foreparents were short-sighted. We could not see that there were two roads. One road would lead to temporary freedom, while the other road will lead to permanent freedom on this earth, and we would become the conquerors, not the conquered. This is the reality. Give you a better picture of who Barabbas was. Barabbas was like Bumba Charles, who tried to fight for the rights and the privilege of the people of Union Island. Barabbas was like Maurice Bishop, but the only thing, Maurice Bishop was successful. But the best comparison I can give you as to who Barabbas was like the Haitian revolutionary Toussaint Overture, who actually threw the French off of Haiti. That is who Barabbas was. People, The message of Jesus is clear. We all know that Jesus took the best decision that was in the best interest of all of Israel. If Barabbas was successful in his revolution, then Jesus Christ, Yahawashah, aka Jesus Christ, would not have had the impact as he is having today. Because Israel would have booted out the Edomites, the Romans, out of their land, and Jesus would have been an antagonist who was jealous of the success of Barabbas. But because Barabbas failed in his revolution against the Romans, Jesus had the impact that he was meant to have. It was meant for Jesus to have this serious type of impact on the world, even some 1,991 years after he died. He still have this impact on the world. People, most of you don't understand the message of Jesus. You say you're Christian, you say you're this, you say you're that. You don't understand the message of Yahawashah, aka Jesus Christ. Most of the pastors and the preachers and the bishop and the elders and the deacons who are entrusted with the responsibility of getting you to heaven via Yahawashah, aka Jesus Christ, do not understand the message of the Most High Son. The Most High Son is not about being a coward. It's not about fearing people. It's not about posturing to people silly beliefs and concepts. If you remember that Yahawashah on his own went into the temple, turned over the table of the traders and their servants and beat them and chased them out of the temple. Yahawashah is not an easy man to go with. Yahawashah is a serious man, but he came with a message that we don't understand. Yahawashah's message is simple. His message is simple. Yahawashah's message is the message of Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1 to 15. Yahawashah's message is the message of Psalms 1. That is Yahawashah's message. And let me break it down for you so you can understand the message of the Son of the Most High. Deuteronomy 28, verse 1 to 15. This is what it says. If you will diligently listen to the word of the Most High, if you will diligently practice the words of the Most High, all of these things I am going to give to you. Blessed shall be you in the city, blessed shall you be you in the country. Blessed shall be the fruits of your body, your children, and blessed shall be the fruit of your land, your hard work. You will be the head and not the tail. Your enemies will fight you, but they will run away from you because they will become afraid of you and they don't know why. That is the message of Jesus. If you follow and keep the laws of the Most High, you are going to be okay. You will not have to worry about taking the COVID-19 vaccine, because you know that you are blessed and the Most High is going to protect you. You look at all through Israel, the only illness that the Israelites experienced was when they were disobedient to the Most High. They get cursed. Look at the history. You will not have to be worrying about a job because you don't want to take the COVID-19 vaccine? Because if you are faithful to the Most High, the politicians would have been coming to you for loans to run the government. Because the Most High says, if you will diligently listen to my words and do my words, I am going to bless you. I'm going to make you the head and not the tail. That is the message of Yahushua. That is the message of Yahushua, aka Jesus Christ. Be faithful to God, and the things that cause you stress and worries will not cause you any stress or any worries, because they will be beneath your feet. He says, come to me and sup with me until I make all of your enemies my footstool. That is for the person who is faithful to the Most High. You have to remember that Yahushua says, greater things than I have done, you are going to do. But only if you are faithful to the Most High. What does that mean? Here we have a man who have healed the sick, cleansed the leper, raised the dead, get money from the fish mouth, who have caused the wind and the wave to quiet, who demons have to sense his presence and tremble with fear. He's saying, greater things that I have done, you're going to do. Why we are not doing greater things? Because we're not faithful to the Most High. We are not faithful to the Most High. You understand? And that is why Barabbas could not succeed. Because if Barabbas succeeded in the revolution, our foreparents would have gone back into slavery. They would have experienced freedom, then back into slavery. Our freedom will come only when we are faithful to the Most High, when we are willing to do that which the Most High says, under all condition, under all circumstances. And that is just the truth. Because greater things than you have done, we are going to do. Here we have the Almighty Creator God, the one who owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. And not only does he own the cattle on 1,000 hills, all of the hills belongs to him. All of the valleys belongs to him. All of the plains belongs to him. All of the rivers belongs to him. All of the lakes belongs to him. All of the oceans belongs to him. Every beach belongs to him. It's telling you, if you will listen to my word carefully, pay close attention to the details, and if you will do my words and pay close attention to the details, all of these wonderful things that your heart desire, I am going to give it to you. We see Job. Look at Job. Job was faithful to the Most High. The Most High trusted Job's faithfulness to such an extent that he persecuted Job. And he knew that Job will not turn his back on him. And in a reward for Job's faithfulness, on the trials, the Most High gave him 10 times more than he had in the first case. People, we have to come to a state where we are able to trust the Most High, to put our confidence in the Most High ability to take care of all of our needs. But he is only willing to give us 100% when we are giving him 100% faithfulness. Until we have decided to give him 100% faithfulness, we will never experience our true potential. When the corrupt and satanic governments tells us what to do, we will become afraid because we don't want to do what they want us to, because it is not in our best interest. But if we defy them, we may not eat, we may not drink, we may not have